Denzel. Diddy's legal drama? This isn't some petty slap on the wrist. No, baby, this man is facing gut-wrenching, spine-chilling allegations. Trafficking, extortion, drugging, abuse, and even the involvement of minors. It all began spiraling when Casty, Diddy's former flame, courageously filed that lawsuit in late 2023. Ever since, the floodgates burst open. Raids, confiscated tapes, and the kind of stuff you'd expect from a horror flick, not a mansion in Beverly Hills. Try gallons of baby oil, hundreds of adult toys, whole rooms set up like twisted scenes from a psychological thriller. But then, out of nowhere, Oprah's name enters the chat, and not from a trashy tabloid or some anonymous gossip blog. No, the bombshell came from Denzel Washington himself. Now let's be real. Denzel is Hollywood royalty. He doesn't speak unless it matters. He's got class, grace, and power, so when he opens his mouth and it's to call out Oprah, baby, people listen. Hard. Sources close to Denzel say he's been giving Oprah the side eye for a long time, not just for how she behaves in public, but how she allegedly treats people behind closed doors, especially black women in the industry. And now, with Diddy's empire crumbling, the dots are starting to connect in ways no one saw coming. Let's get into the tea, shall we? So, what's the real deal between Diddy and Oprah? Oh, sweetheart, they go way back. We're talking decades of rubbing shoulders. Bet Awards, the Grammys, Cannes Film Festivals, fashion galas, you name it, they've both been there. Diddy's even graced her talk show where they giggled like besties about his rise to mogul status and flashy business ventures. On the surface, it looked like two black icons celebrating success. But now, people are watching those old clips with a whole different set of eyes. Like, were we blind the whole time? Oprah has always maintained this squeaky clean goddess of good persona. She built her empire on healing, empowerment, and inspiration. But now, the internet is asking, was that just a mask? Because behind that sparkling public image, there's been buzz for years. Remember John of God? That spiritual healer Oprah once praised on her show? Well, he was later convicted of absolutely horrific crimes. And when the truth came out, Oprah just quietly distanced herself. No big statement, no accountability, just silence. And baby, the internet never forgets. Now that Diddy scandal has blown wide open and the feds are digging deep, people are starting to revisit everything, and that includes Oprah's associations. The dots are suddenly looking a lot more connected than before. But here's the clincher. Denzel isn't just mad about Oprah's connections, he's furious about the hypocrisy. Let's not pretend Oprah hasn't been the poster child for calling out injustice. When it's time to uplift women, especially in Hollywood, she's front and center. Feminism, female power, the Oprah's been the loudest voice in the room. But when the women involved are black actresses, crickets. Taraji P. Henson straight up said Oprah underpaid her on The Color Purple. Yep, Oprah produced that film. And Taraji's not alone. Fantasia, Halle Bailey, they've all hinted that things were not what they seemed when Oprah is the one holding the purse string. Though Denzel speaking up, this wasn't some random beef. This was years of frustration bubbling over. And now, let's talk about those infamous Diddy parties. You know the ones. The all-white affairs, champagne flowing like rivers, celebrities stacked higher than Grammy trophies. Yeah, those. On the outside, they looked like glamorous elite get-togethers, but behind closed doors, honey, it was a whole different scene. According to multiple lawsuits, eyewitnesses, and insiders who are finally speaking out, those parties were hiding some of the darkest, most depraved behavior imaginable. These weren't your average Hollywood after-parties. We're talking about something that felt more like a secret society initiation than a celebration. There were models flown in under weird contracts, guests having to give up their phones in secret rooms where the real events began. What's worse, some guests now claim they saw drugged women, disoriented, barely dressed, and being escorted into private chambers while powerful men just sip champagne and watch. And guess who was reportedly spotted at more than one of these gatherings? Yup, Oprah. Now, look, we're not saying she was the one running the show. But if even a fraction of what's being alleged is true, it's hard to imagine that someone of her stature didn't see something or hear something or suspect something, especially when Diddy wasn't exactly subtle about it. The term freak-offs was literally used by him to describe these secret, intimate parties, often featuring drinks spiked with sedatives, GHB-laced baby oil, yes, seriously, and completely blurred lines of consent. And it's not just women. Some men are coming forward too, saying they were victims at these events. And the scariest part? This wasn't some recent spiral. The feds have been building a case for years, tracking these incidents across New York, California, Nevada, pulling in testimonies from over 100 people with at least 25 minors involved. One accusation? that Diddy drugged and assaulted a 13-year-old girl after an award show. Let that sink in. And where is Diddy now? Locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, one of the most dangerous, brutal prisons in the United States. That alone tells you how serious this whole situation has become. But here's where things take a turn, because while Diddy's world is falling apart in real time, the public is shifting its gaze to the people who enabled him, or worse, stayed silent while it all went down. Enter Oprah Winfrey. Now her fans, her diehard defenders, are screaming guilt by association isn't fair. They say, just because she was at the same parties or in the same circles doesn't mean she's complicit. Okay, sure, but let's be real. Oprah isn't just some average celebrity, she's Oprah, the most powerful media figure in the world. She has teams of people, access to every elite inner circle, and more industry intel than most government agencies. So why, people are asking, has she been so silent? Not a statement, not a post, not even a denial, just silence. And baby, that silence is loud. Then there's a chilling twist that's got the internet spiraling with speculation. Oprah's School for Girls in South Africa, a project she's always promoted as her legacy of empowerment. But now, people are nervously wondering if any of those girls were ever pulled into the dark side of the entertainment industry later on. There's no proof, no official connection, but let's not pretend it's a crazy question. Given her deep ties to Hollywood and people like Diddy, is it really that far-fetched? The questions are mounting. The discomfort is growing. And while more victims come forward in Diddy's case, the list of potential enablers is starting to look like a who's who of Hollywood royalty. Diddy's legal team, oh, they're in panic mode. They're calling the allegations outrageous and accusing the accusers of hiding behind anonymity. They want names, they want faces, they want to discredit these brave survivors. But the prosecutors, baby, they are not playing. They've locked things down tighter than Fort Knox and are stacking evidence like Legos. And it's not just criminal cases. They've got civil suits, federal charges, and dozens of testimonies painting the same disturbing picture. One lawsuit claims women were given sedative-laced drinks and then taken to places like mansions, luxury hotels, and even, get this, a department store where assaults allegedly took place. And let's not forget that haunting detail, baby oil laced with GHB. WHO just has that line around. This stopped being Hollywood scandal a long time ago. We are deep in the trenches of a criminal saga, a horrifying coordinated web of abuse, silence, and manipulation that thrive because people in power look the other way. And Oprah, she's smack in the middle of that power structure. Whether she was involved directly or not, her silence as one of the most influential women on the planet is speaking volumes. The people are asking, if Oprah won't speak up, who will? And that's where Denzel drew the line. Because unlike most celebrities, Denzel never played the Hollywood game. He didn't have to. He built his legacy on truth, on talent, and on integrity. And when he saw the same powerful players who claimed to support black women turning their backs when it really counted, he said no more. His support for women like Taraji P, Henson, and Monique has always been real. It's not for clout, it's not for headlines, it's because he sees the truth and refuses to stay silent. So when he looked at Oprah and said enough is enough, the whole world took notice. Now let's be clear, no one is saying Oprah committed a crime. But this isn't just about legal definitions anymore. The public doesn't just want charges, they want accountability. They want the truth. Because if you had the power to stop something terrible, or even call it out, and you didn't, then baby, you were part of the problem. And right now, that's the storm Oprah's caught in. Her name, her legacy, her empire, it's all under the microscope. People who once idolized her are rethinking everything, because how could someone who stood for so much light and justice stay quiet during all this darkness? Diddy? He's waiting for trial. The list of accusers is growing daily, and the more details that spill out, the more we see that this wasn't just about one man's twisted actions. It was about the system that let it happen. A system full of silence, but of fake smiles on red carpets, of executives who signed deals while pretending not to hear the whispers, of celebrities who knew something was off, but didn't want to lose their seat at the table. And now, that table, it's flipping. The industry is crumbling at its corners. The illusion of perfection is burning down in real time. And the people, they're no longer watching with starry eyes. They're asking questions. They're pulling receipts. They're demanding real answers from the ones they once blindly trusted. And whether Oprah steps up or not, the narrative has changed. People are done pretending, done idolizing, done excusing. And as for Denzel, he didn't just expose a name. He cracked open a conversation that Hollywood's been trying to bury for decades. This isn't just Diddy's downfall. It's a reckoning for everyone who helped build the illusion, and for those who hid behind power, privilege, and silence while the unthinkable happened behind velvet ropes and closed doors. So buckle up, because this story is only getting bigger. The names will keep coming, the masks will keep falling, and the people we thought we knew might not be who we thought they were after all.